The episode begins with Mordecai and Rigby arriving at the park for another seemingly normal workday, though there's an unusual sense of tension in the air. Benson immediately tells them they have a special task: organizing and cleaning the park's storage building before a scheduled inspection at exactly 8 o'clock. He stresses the importance of having everything perfectly arranged by that exact time, leaving Mordecai and Rigby to panic slightly, knowing the clock is their enemy. They begin the task reluctantly, casually pushing boxes around, tossing items into shelves without much care, and joking as usual. Benson warns them repeatedly that if they fail, there will be serious consequences, but he eventually leaves, confident that they might just get it done if they manage not to destroy anything. At first, everything seems manageable. Mordecai and Rigby start cataloging boxes, stacking supplies, and sweeping the floor. Their banter is typical. Mordecai complains about the monotony, Rigby jokes about hiding snacks in random crates, and both try to make the workday go faster by turning it into a game of who can stack boxes higher. However, the moment they begin, strange occurrences start. Shadows flicker in the corners, items seem to move on their own, and eerie noises echo from deep within the building. Mordecai and Rigby laugh nervously, assuming it's just the building settling, though Rigby keeps glancing over his shoulder. The sense of foreboding builds subtly. As the clock approaches 6 o'clock, the situation escalates. Boxes start falling on their own, supplies begin flying through the air, and a cold wind blows through the closed windows. Mordecai and Rigby realize something is actively sabotaging their efforts. They attempt to organize quickly, but every action seems to trigger another mishap. The building itself seems almost alive, doors slamming by themselves, shelves tipping over, and crates emitting strange glowing lights. Mordecai's attempts to lift heavy boxes are interrupted by invisible forces, while Rigby panics and runs into walls trying to avoid hazards. The normally comedic tasks have become an obstacle course of supernatural chaos. Meanwhile, Mordecai notices a series of old, faded signs attached to crates, warning of a mysterious legend. The building is cursed if not prepared properly, and anyone who fails to meet the 8 o'clock deadline is doomed. Rigby, as usual, dismisses it, joking that the building is just haunted because nobody cleaned it, but Mordecai grows increasingly concerned. The supernatural forces escalate further. Shelves start shifting into new configurations, stacks of boxes begin forming impossible towers, and the eerie sounds transform into whispers, seemingly counting down toward 8. Tension rises as the duo struggles to keep pace, throwing boxes, restacking toppled piles, and frantically trying to follow an invisible logic that only the building seems to understand. At 7:15, the situation becomes completely chaotic. A large crate falls, narrowly missing Rigby, while a shelf collapses, spilling jars that glow faintly before shattering. Mordecai realizes the building is reacting to their mistakes, punishing them for disorganization, procrastination, and clumsiness. He tries to explain to Rigby that they must work carefully and follow patterns they haven't yet fully understood. Rigby, panicking, suggests they just throw everything outside and call it a day, which Mordecai immediately rejects. They form a strategy. Mordecai moves with precision, using his spatial awareness to anticipate collapsing structures, while Rigby handles lighter, movable items, trying not to touch anything unstable. Their teamwork gradually begins to stabilize the environment, but time is running out. As the clock strikes 7:50, the building reaches its most intense phase. Crates start floating in midair, assembling themselves into massive walls and corridors. Boxes with strange labels begin to glow ominously. Mordecai and Rigby are forced to navigate the shifting structure like a surreal labyrinth. They dodge falling objects, leap over moving shelves, and carefully place essential supplies in the correct spots. Every wrong move triggers a chain reaction, toppling towers or unleashing spectral energy that sends them sliding across the floor. Their frantic efforts are punctuated by the ticking clock echoing through the cavernous space, reminding them of the impending 8 o'clock deadline. Finally, with less than 30 seconds to spare, Mordecai and Rigby place the last crate in the exact correct position. The floating walls and glowing boxes freeze, and the whispers cease. The building falls silent, almost reverent, as if acknowledging their success. Mordecai and Rigby collapse on the floor, exhausted and trembling, having narrowly survived the supernatural chaos. The clock strikes exactly 8 o'clock, and the building settles into a peaceful stillness. The tension lifts entirely, and for the first time in the episode, Mordecai and Rigby can breathe and laugh at their ordeal, though they remain shaken by how narrowly they avoided disaster. Benson arrives moments later, inspecting the storage building with satisfaction. He doesn't see the supernatural chaos, only the perfectly organized crates and supplies. He compliments Mordecai and Rigby, seemingly unaware of how close they came to failure, and declares that the inspection would be perfect if it were done this way every day. Mordecai and Rigby glance at each other, exhausted, sharing a silent acknowledgement that they survived something extraordinary. Pops and Muscle Man appear, oblivious to the tension, excitedly commenting about how nice everything looks. Skips, observing quietly from the side, gives a subtle nod, suggesting he's aware of the strange events but chooses not to interfere. The episode ends with Mordecai and Rigby sitting outside the storage building, reflecting on how chaotic the day was and joking nervously about never taking easy chores for granted again. As they relax, a faint whisper echoes from inside the building, teasing that the challenge might not be entirely over, leaving a lingering sense of mystery while concluding the intense day on a comedic note.